You think that's amusing? She said, her voice slicing through the laughter like a knife through velvet. The park hushed, not abruptly but in waves. It was one of those moments where time holds its breath, though the people in it freeze. Officer Derek stood still, baton caught under the hem of the woman's skirt, smirking like a fool mid-stunt. His grin faded as her expression came into focus. She wasn't flustered. She wasn't rattled. She looked like a tempest poised to unleash. In that moment he realized this wasn't just some woman he'd toyed with. This was something deeper, something grave. And he just struck the match. 30 seconds prior, he'd been the ruler of the scene. Brash, broad-chested, the kind of guy who believed charm could smooth over anything. A quick jest, a baton under her skirt. She'd startle, maybe squeak, his partner would snicker. Another light-hearted tale for his stash of, you had to be there, anecdotes. But she didn't startle. She turned as if she'd anticipated it, as if she'd challenged him to try. Her gaze locked onto his. Dark, unwavering, unafraid. Then her hand moved to her leather bag. Not frantic, not hurried, calm, deliberate. She drew out a slim black wallet and flipped it open. The gold badge flashed in the sunlight. Federal Agent, Civil Rights Division. Derek blinked. You're what? She arched a brow. Still find it funny? His hand dropped from the baton like it scalded him. He glanced at his partner, who suddenly found the ground fascinating. Look, I didn't mean you didn't think, she interrupted. That's the more dangerous part. She didn't shout. She didn't threaten. She just held his gaze for a long, uneasy moment, then walked away, skirt untouched, dignity intact. But his pride lay shattered on the pavement. He stood there long after she'd gone. Not from guilt, not yet. More from disorientation. He couldn't grasp what had just happened, only that he was no longer in charge. The report was filed within 12 hours. She didn't press charges. She chose something sharper, reassignment. Not for her, for him. He was to shadow her for 2 weeks. Learn, watch, absorb. That was the term in the memo. Absorb. He didn't understand it until he lived it. Her name was Amara Tate. No spouse, no children, no idle chatter. Just a woman who moved like she had nothing to prove and everything to defend. He trailed her through shelters, hospitals, courtrooms. They met women who flinched at the sound of heavy footsteps, nurses whose complaints vanished into bureaucracy, girls who whispered their stories into tissues like they were fragile as crystal. Amara listened to them all. Derek observed. On day 5, something shifted in him. A teenage girl, barely 15, described how a school security officer mocked her uniform during detention. She laughed as she told it, but her hands trembled uncontrollably. Derek sat there, unable to meet her eyes. He'd used those same words, that same tone, that same laugh. By day 8, sleep eluded him. Not soundly, at least. He kept hearing his own laugh, ricocheting back through someone else's pain. On the final day, Amara handed him a file. Inside was a photograph, a grainy surveillance shot. A young woman, shoulders slumped, face averted, arms crossed. He squinted. The outfit was different, the hair shorter, but the eyes, they were hers. That was me, she said. 17, public park, officer never faced charges. They said I misread it, overreacted. So I became the situation they can't dismiss. He stared at the photo, then at her. Why let me off so lightly? I didn't, she said. I made you see. They stood in silence a while longer. He wanted to say thank you. He wanted to say sorry. He wanted to say 100 things, but he knew none would suffice. So he said nothing, and she nodded as if that was the wisest choice he'd made all week. He returned to patrol a changed man. Not flawless, not reborn, but altered. He spoke out when jokes crossed lines. He noticed when someone flinched. And when anyone asked, "Remember that woman in the skirt?" he just nodded and walked away because the joke was over and the lesson had just begun. Before we close this story, tell us where in the world you're watching from? Let's connect the dots across the map. Some learn by hearing. Others need to be seen, unraveled, and remade. If this story made you stop, truly stop, then maybe it wasn't just a story. Maybe it was a mirror. Would you have laughed too or stopped it before it began? Let us know.